Good day, beautiful people. Wherever you are in the world, it's again an amazing Monday here in South Africa. Brett's in Letabile, where I stay. And today, as you can see, I am indoors. I'm at work right now. So I'm still enjoying a few months that I have left here at work before I become permanently at home, just breathing in a good, amazing, fresh air and just, uh, disconnecting and just getting out of the matrix. So, recently, welcome to the Divine Truth, where we bring out the truth in any concept. So today we're gonna speak about ego and what ego is and what is its function. Because ego, we've named it as a bad guy, but ego is not that bad. So yesterday when I had my awakening, another spiritual awakening, because as a spiritual being I have awakenings almost every month. As women go through their periods every month, I also go through my awakening period every month. Sometimes it's intense, but most of the time it's just beautiful because the pain dissipate, and then I just enjoy the beautiful energy, the beautiful joy, the beautiful peace, the beautiful love, dimensions of the divine baby. So let's just dive into today's topic. So as I was yesterday, I think it was yesterday and the day before the day before yesterday, or day before Mabani. It's yesterday in my language, in Zona. So yeah, I was out there in nature, and while I was sitting down, then I started to have this revelation that ego is not bad as we think it is. And it's a video that is covered by another beautiful soul, Christina Lopes. He covered it on ego and said that ego is our survival mechanism. So I'm just gonna go up through those lines because she put it much more beautifully. So I'm just gonna put it from my own experience, because all we can speak about is an experience of the divine, because nobody can speak about the divine. When you speak about the divine, then that's not the divine. We can only speak about our experience of the divine. That's what is beautiful about it. So what's happened was I started to realize that ego is a survival mechanism. It's a body mind that has an identity, or maybe that has its own fears, because ego start with fear. The first step of ego was not there from the beginning. There was just a body mind, or you can say this body and the mind, it was pure. We can take it from a child, because our beginnings start from a child. So in the beginning there was a body, mind, and a soul. But a soul came on the earth not knowing anything about the earth. I want you to understand me. Not knowing any experience about the earth, how the earth works and all of that. So the soul had to learn about the earth and how to go about on the earth. So as the soul started its journey, it had a body mind that was there for it. The body mind is connected to the earth, so it knows a bit and bit about the earth. So a body mind is a gatherer of information. So as we went along the way, since well our soul was amateur to the experience of the earth, then we started to bump into some challenges, baby, and things started to get so messy and a bit shaky. So what happened was, now our body mind had to develop some sort of a method or some sort of a habit to help us to realize that, for example, that fire will burn us. So it started by fear, because the only way it could communicate with us is through what it already knows, what is inside this body. So inside our body there are adrenaline glands that governs our flight or fight mode. So our ego started to use, body mind started to use adrenaline to help us to see danger. whenever there's something that is threatening to the body, because a soul can never be threatened, but whenever something that comes threatening to the body mind, then the body mind will release adrenaline gland to react. So as it reacts, then it starts to form habits, right? Then from there, when it wanted to move to accept the fire, that the fire is good and something like that, then it will have guilt because it has already bad named the fire as a bad thing. So when it starts to see the fire being used for cooking and stuff like that, then it starts to live in guilt. Then when it's living in guilt, then it starts to have fear of accepting the fire, though it sees that the fire is working well for it. Then from there, when it starts to experience more of the fire, then it starts to shift into shame. So it starts to be shameful of the fire, shameful of when it starts to shift to knowing the truth about the fire. Like I said before, it saw the fire got banned and it named the fire as bad. And then it started to feel guilty because it realized that the fire is beautiful. Then when it started to learn the truth about the fire, that the fire can burn when it's not used properly, then it started to live in shame, where it has the fear of seeing reason because of the past experiences. So it started to have a problem accepting and seeing reason that fire is not bad. It depends on how you use it. So it started to develop the fear of accepting and seeing the truth about the fire. Then from there, it starts to live in grief because it feels like it has lost something. It has lost its power to the fire. The moment when it got burned, it lost its power. So whenever it sees the fire, it feels grief because it feels like it has lost a spark of its soul. It has divided itself from the truth, which is that fire is beautiful when it's used right. Then from there, it start to lie and live in an illusion that it is separate from others. It starts to live in a lie that it is not separate, it is separate from the divine, because the divine is everything. Then as it shifts up, it starts to live in more illusions that it is separate, very separate from others, that it's alone, it's standing alone. Then that's how the ego is created. So basically, since there are many egos, when it dies, when a body mind dies while it still feels that it's separate, it doesn't go back to the divine, it doesn't ascend to the divine. It get trapped on earth. Then we call it an entity, or Christian people call it an evil spirit. Now it start to torment others, because you must realize something, that there is no other. We are all one. So when you reject yourself, you reject another. And I don't know if you realize that, because I realized this in my experience. I realized that whenever I reject myself, or whenever I feel angry, then when I try to reject it, then I push it to another. I start to create the anger outside. That's why they say hate people when I hate people. So when you're living in fear, all you see is fear, because we can only see through the eyes of our own level of perception. So when we live through fear, we can only see through the eyes of fear. So the entity can only see through the eyes of anger, fear, and all those lower vibration energies. So what happens to it is that it starts to torture people, because that's what it knows. Now when it touches people, things start to be bad. So the ego it's not that bad when the body mind is still alive. But when the body mind dies, it get trapped forever. In Christian language, they call it get trapped in hell. Then in hell, its job is to torment others. So my ego has tormented me for a long time, though when I look back at my experience, it has been a beautiful experience, because my ego has protected me from so much harm. It closed my heart from all the pains that I received in my childhood experience, because my childhood was so tough and rough. So my ego had to jump in order to protect me, so that my heart can be preserved. So the problem is that when ego start to see something new, it will freak out, it will jump up and down, it will go into total overdrive, and that's how we get diseases. That's why we get panic attacks. Because I remember I once got a panic attack when I first faced fear with my own eyes. I got a panic attack that my muscles was contracting. It felt like I was gonna have a stroke. But I used my willpower. Then after I overcame the fear, then I felt so much better. Though it was just a start of my journey, but I felt so much better. And all the troubles that I had from my childhood, sleeping in the street once, not being loved by my family, being rejected by my friend, not fitting in the society, and people always speaking behind my back, and feeling all those intense energy because of ego, I made it this far. So ego is beautiful when we've realized what it is. But when we're still living unconsciously, used by entities, used by evil spirits, then ego is toxic for us. With that being said, I send you tons of energy. With love, I say that let your day be amazing. Kere, enjoy letsatsi la hao. Meaning, enjoy the rest of your day. So, be amazing, eba motle, and have a beautiful day wherever you are. I love you guys. Peace.